Hi guys, it's Mo here, and today I'm gonna talk about something that I keep getting asked for all the time, and I'm pretty sure that many other content creators, especially people who make videos about like how to make currency, get asked about this all the time. And the question I'm talking about is, what do you actually sell out of your maps or out of whatever content you're doing to make currency? And this is something that people get really confused because they like, okay, so I'm supposed to run these blighted maps, or I'm supposed to run these maps in this region, but what do I actually sell? You know, if I don't get any big drops, how do I make currency, right? If I don't drop exalts, where do I get exalts from? How do I, like, what do I sell? How do I sell it? People really don't understand how these things add up and how to sell them. So I'm basically gonna do it the hard way because there is no simple answer to that question. It depends on a lot of different things, but I'm gonna give you like an example that I hope you can learn from. So for this example, I'm going to basically run 10 maps. I'm going to run 10 maps in Lex Joris. I'm running them with 1 Delirium Orb and 4 cheap Scarabs with +1 Watchstone and Watchstones for cluster jewels. So my strategy is basically farming T17 maps so that I can drop level 84, like item level 84 cluster jewels, and then whatever other stuff I happen to drop as well. That is my basic strategy. That is how I'm mapping currently, and this is what I'm gonna use as an example. So I'm gonna run 10 of these maps, and then all of the things that I find in these maps, I'm just gonna drop in a dump tab, and then afterwards we're gonna basically go through all of that, and I'm gonna explain how I'm selling that, what I'm selling, and so on. So let's run through the maps. And now that we're done with the maps, here is the stash tab that I dropped everything in. This is the loot, and what you would normally see is me or any other content creator just showing you this, right? So we made 1,233 chaos if we sold everything here. This is roughly what we made, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, because the excellence underprices, like undervalues some of the items, but overvalues some of the other ones, right? Because like maybe you don't sell all of the maps that you get, and so on. But this is basically the currency that we got, and this is all you would get. And then you're like, okay, you know, I mean, I'm getting the same currency, but like I see like simulacrum, splinter, exalted orbs, some maps, and what else? What else do I sell? So I'm gonna go through all of that, and I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing with all of the loot, and also maybe what I'm not picking up that you might not see here, right? So first thing that we can go through is like, let's go through the orbs, right? What kind of orbs do we got? So this is the raw currency that we got. The raw currency that we got is gonna go into the currency stash tab, and then over time, as it adds up, I might trade some of it, right? So the currency that we're getting will be traded in bulk. The trading in bulk is like a really important thing that you should be doing. Like you will not count like getting a little bit, you know, like getting like these 24 Val orbs as really getting much currency really, but once you like stack up like 200 of those, maybe you can sell it, right? How much do you need for an X? Like you need like 400 for an X, right? So once you get to like 440, what you do is you just sell it for an X, right? And to do that, you basically type one of whatever you want for 440, and then you select like exalt, and that's how you trade something for an X, right? And if I had 440, then someone would message me and be like, hey, I want to buy this for an exalt, and then any currency that stacks sufficiently high, you'll be able to do that with it, right? So that's very self-explanatory, right? You know how to do that, you know how to get this currency. Then we got like a blighted delirium orb. This is like 30C, so we self-sustained 1 blighted delirium orb, I guess. Now let's go through, for example, maps, right? Maps are like the next very basic thing. So we can grab some maps. We also get some chisels in here. Maps I recommend selling in a single session. What does that mean? I don't recommend like putting maps for sale all the time and just going every time, like every single time someone messages you for a map, and then you go and trade it, and then they message you again, and then you go and trade it, and you have to leave your maps and so on. That is pretty bad. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to drop your maps, like all your maps, in like, let's say a tab that has like price, let's say 8 chaos at the moment, right? If they're like T15, 16 maps, and then lower it to 7 chaos. you're gonna get spammed by messages, you're gonna sell like 20 maps and then you're gonna be done with it, right? So you're gonna sell like each map for like 1C less maybe, but you're gonna do it way quicker. You just have like a map selling session. You're gonna make tons of currency that way. It's much better than just doing it individually, like you're leaving a map all the time and so on, right? Looking at these maps, you also wanna make sure that I think delirium maps you can search for. Let me see if they did that. Delirium. Apparently you can't. I don't know. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I don't know how it works. Like if I put the delirium map here, like now it shows that I can search for it, but it doesn't always show that you can search for it. However, these are really nice. Check if you have like 16s, for example. I think I have like a 16 delirium here. Yeah, I have like a 16 delirium already burial chambers. So that's very nice because if you get a 16 map with delirium, that's basically like getting the map plus like 30C on top of it on the orb, right? So we're getting the maps. Maps can be sold for a decent amount of currency. That is another place where the currency comes from, right? Next place where the currency comes from are the oils, right? So the oils, let's see if we have any other one. Oil. That's all that we have here. So oils add up over time and they are definitely useful. Again, you don't want to sell them like individually, always go through the map, and I would like upgrade some of them. The lowest ones, it depends on what you're trading, right? Like I, for example, would not trade for lower than the silver oil personally, right? So I would upgrade everything to a silver oil or to whatever oil I want to use for my maps, right? So for example, that would be like black. I'm using like black and red oils, maybe opalescent oils for the blighted maps. So that's another thing you can sell. And again, you wanna get it to like higher rarity, like higher tier, and then sell that, right? Then we've got unique maps, same as with other maps, just put it in a stash tab and like lower the price and sell it all at the same time. Then we've got fossils. With fossils, this is something that you need to sell in bulk. If you're not selling in bulk, you're losing a lot of currency. With fossils, you definitely want to wait until you have like 10, 20, 30 of them, and then they're gonna sell for much more, right? Because this one sells, like if you look at, for example, I don't know, dense fossil, right? If we look at dense fossil, the price for one dense fossil is like 2C or something like that, right? Let's see, we can have to retry in 4 seconds because apparently we're spamming trade too much. So once you can buy even as cheap as 1C, right? But once you get to like 20, okay, let's type 20 in here, okay, that's gonna be a higher price because in bulk you're gonna, oh my god, we need to wait a little bit. Once you get to like 20, once you get to, okay, let's do even better. Let's do 100 just to show you, right, how much you can expect to actually get paid once you get to like a bigger bulk of, for example, fossils, right? So from 1C to 2C, we go to like 4C, right? So you're like doubling or tripling or quadrupling the amount. So you can even use that principle to like flip the items, but this is what you want to sell in bulk. So right now, like this one fossil that I dropped here, I don't really count it as an income, but later on it's going to become that income. So these things add up and they count into the cost of everything, right? Then what we can get is also, for example, similar thing, catalysts, right? Catalysts sell for a lot, especially once you get like 10 or 20. Usually people buy like 4 or 20, depending on whether they are like using it on a rare or unique item or a white item, right? So really depends, but usually people want like 20 of them, right? So fertile catalysts and prismatic catalysts are very expensive. I found some from the harvest, so I got a bunch of those, and catalysts are gonna sell for a lot of currency. So especially like the fertile catalysts, because this is like the most important one, and then also the resist catalyst, right? So look out for the catalyst, and this is gonna sell for a lot of money. And you might have these things sitting in your stash tabs and you're not selling them, and this is what, how much is this? How much is 15? This is like 1 for 11C. This is like 160 chaos or something, right? Or 165 chaos, something like that. So this is a lot of currency in here. This is like an X worth of fertile catalysts, and this is definitely adding up to everything that we're making. What else do we have? We have essences. Essences currently, from normal maps, you're gonna have actually much less you can have much less profit than from maps in like Hayward Hamlet. However, the Remnants of Corruption are pretty good. They're like 5C if you're doing it in bulk. Definitely recommend selling them in bulk. What you want to do is like upgrade them and then sell these highest tiers in bulk, and also corrupt these purple ones, and you have a chance of getting like Insanity or Hysteria, and these are pretty expensive. This one is like 45C per essence, so this definitely adds up. Every time you see one of those, make sure that you're using the Remnant of Corruption on it, and then you can get big money. So that's another source of currency that people might not be utilizing, because when you look at the essences, right, and you like click on this and it's like, oh, that's 1C, well, I don't want to bother, right? But then once you get to the higher ones, right, once you look at those, once you look at the bulk, right, then and you get like, let's say 10 of them, right, then from 1C of this type of an essence, we're getting to a much higher number, which is going to be like 4 or 5C, right? So 4C, right? 4 or 5C. So you can sell that in bulk, and you're going to be getting like trades that are going to be coming to you for like 25 chaos, for example, for a stack of this, right? So you're going to get much more currency if you're selling that in bulk as well. What do we got? Oh, fossil. We got more fossils even here. So we got to dump those. The next thing is div cards. Divination cards, right? So we've got 6-link Astral Plate. This goes for like 9C, so don't be greedy, just sell it for 8C if you want to sell it right away. Don't be greedy, just sell this. Monstrous Treasure, stacked decks, and we got also the Void. We can check what we get from the Void. Trade Divination cards, Void, and there we go. We got garbage, absolutely nothing. All right. So let's drop this into the tab. You can open these, you can sell these, whatever you like with those. Then we've got things like Simulacrum Splinters, right? Simulacrum Splinters are worth quite a lot. From these 10 maps, I got 252 Simulacrum Splinters. That is quite a lot because I have the Prosecutor Delusion node, and I was killing the bosses in these maps. So I was getting a bunch of splinters. Like 300 of them is worth a simulacrum. Simulacrum is about like 1.5x, so this is like more than 1x worth of simulacrum splinters. That adds up, right? I will put it in here, and there we go. We got another simulacrum which is worth like 1.4 1.5x right now. So this is another really good source of currency. The next source of currency would be, of course, the cluster jewels, right? So if I look at the cluster jewels that I have here, this is the whole reason why I'm running this region. And while I will not find it all the time, sometimes I will find really, really good ones. So let's see, this one, level 84, 8 passives, called, this is worth 1.5x, just the base, 1.5x without anything on it, maybe up to 2x. So this is already like 1.5x from just this cluster jewel, right? What else do we have that's good here? This is a similar thing, but for lightning damage. Oh no, this is actually level 83. So, but this one is still worth like 80 chaos, 80, 90 chaos. So that's very nice. That's like another, I got like 2x in here, right? And what else do we have here? Small one with max mana, exerted attacks 84. Is it worth anything? Like 30 chaos. Okay, so not much, but this is already like good money, these two cluster jewels, right? So that's another good thing. So I'm gonna drop them in the cluster and then sort that later. The next thing that we got in here are going to be probably something like contracts. Contracts actually sell. There are people who actually enjoy running Heist. Heist is pretty decent currency if you have a good character for it. And there are contracts like Deception, for example, that I remember like selling for 5C each, right? If they are like level 83, right? So lockpicking, Deception, those are pretty good. So this is something that you can also sell in bulk and make some currency. So you want to like just dump them in your stash tabs and sell them later in bulk. The next things that I'm picking up, like you're gonna notice, like this is starting to add up into quite a lot of currency from those 10 maps. We're gonna have like scarabs, right? Scarabs are super expensive this league. If you look at, for example, Gilded Blight Scarab, right? This one is worth like 17 chaos. If you find like a different one, that might be like 20. The Gilded Sulfite Scarab might be like 7, right? They always add up. Scarabs always add up. And the thing with scarabs is you want to wait as long as you can with the lower ones. So with like the With these ones, with like maybe the polished and rusted, you want to wait until you have a little bit more of them to sell them in bulk. And then with gilded, maybe sell them right away if you need the currency, right? Because it's harder to stack up a lot of those. So you're gonna have that currency sitting. Then we've got like fragments, right? Fragments. We got fragments. I found this fragment, this thing, these things, right? These fragments are not that much currency, but you should be using them, for example, on your blighted maps. So this is something that also adds up. You can sell them in bulk as well. The fragment of the Elder is like 20 something C. So this is another thing that adds up, and you should be selling it in bulk. The next thing after that is like bases, for example, right? Bases are, it's hard to know. This is something that's going to come with knowledge. I, for example, am running either Elder or Shaper Scarab. Pretty much now Shaper is much cheaper for the same thing that I'm getting out of it, which is Shaper items. The thing that I do with Shaper items is, which not that many people know about, is the influenced item recipe. If you have a set of items all with the same influence, right? So you have like a set of weapons, so like 2 100 weapons or 1 200 weapon, a chest, a helmet, gloves, boots, belt, amulet, and 2 rings. If you have that, right? Normally this is a chaos recipe, right? But with influenced items, what you get out of that is 4 exalted shards if they're unidentified. 4 exalted shards right now, that is 4. That's 15, that's 30 chaos. This is like 30 chaos from one recipe, right? 30 chaos from one recipe, and you don't have to pick up that much. 30 chaos for one recipe is definitely worth doing, and this is something that adds up over time, and you just get more exalts, right? This is another thing that many people are not taking advantage of. Then we've got like things like sextants, we've got things like other bases, there are like gems, there are tons of different stuff. When it comes to like jewels, for example, what I recommend doing with jewels is identify them all, but don't even look at them, okay? Don't bother even looking at them. Just do this. Just have a tab where you have jewels and drop them in, okay? And then have a price on it. Start with like 49 chaos, okay? Or start with like 1x. If after a day it doesn't sell, do 49. After a day it doesn't sell, 39. After a day it doesn't sell, 29, and lower that, right? As you lower that price, you're gonna sell more and more. And from this tab in this league, if I had to guess how much I made, I would say like maybe 10x. Maybe I made like 10x out of doing this strategy. This is very, very good because it's better than rare items, right? Because it doesn't take that much space in your inventory. The only difficult thing is like you have to look for the name, and when you have this many jewels, like it's like hollow orb, hypnotic eye jewel, you might have actually multiple, so you have to pay attention to like the location where it is. You can use like POE lurker or something to find them a little bit easier, but that's another place where you can get currency from selling stuff. From bases, like there are specific bases. The later in the league, the harder it is to sell bases. This is like a specific base from Ritual that I got from a level 84 map. So this is level 84 base, and this specific base, level 84 with this implicit, is selling right now for like half an X, right? Half an X to an X. So this is again like maybe 100 chaos for this, right? That's another thing that's gonna sell for a bunch of currency. And the rest of the stuff is mostly just to be sorted, right? We got another like stuff that I missed, some fragments that are gonna add up over time. We've got things like breach splinters and splinters for like splinters for breaches, splinters for the emblems, and then once you get an emblem you can sell that. The splinters for ritual vessels are very, very good. So if I type ritual, right, I had like 93, so I got almost a whole ritual vessel, and a ritual vessel is selling for like 30c 35c right now. So this is something really, really good to pick up from the rituals as well. Other than that, the gems, I don't really bother. Like I might look at them, but usually it's not worth anything. It's like 3c for something like that, so I would just vendor that and not bother with it. And that's basically it. You can sell some 6 sockets. The 6 sockets are gonna sell for jewelers, and then you can sell jewelers and fusing, or just like have them for yourself to link your own items. But that is basically it. So hopefully this has been helpful. This is how you actually make currency. This is what people don't show you. The reason why they don't show you that is because actually trading for those items might take days, right? The jewel that I drop in here maybe in 4 days someone will message me, hey, I want this jewel, right? Because I'm actually playing claws and I'm doing like all of that, and I need energy shield or whatever. Like someone playing super specific thing will actually find that jewel, and after like few days they will message you. And this is not something that is like high frequency, so you cannot really show it easily in a video, right? Because you'd have to like sit there for days, and these trades happen like when you're mapping, when you're randomly logged in for 10 minutes in the morning to talk to your friend, or when you're doing whatever. This is what happens, right? So you cannot really show that otherwise, so that's why I made this video specifically for that reason. So hopefully you learned something. Thank you guys so much for watching. Big thanks to all my Patreon supporters who are enjoying the loot filters. Thank you so much, and see you next time. You can also check out my stream at twitch.tv/asmodeusstream. Bye bye.